do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey, folks, welcome to BODS Mayhem, our podcast, live podcast, that is. And I have with me on the show right now Mr. Dan Drago and Josh Crum. They are from Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast. And we're going to be talking about all this stuff. And I got to thank Dan for that intro there, too, for the podcast. And I've been using Josh's band Downtrend for intros and outros for God, I want to say 4 years now at the most, so it's time to change up a little bit.
Oh, trust me, I let Dan know. He said, John wants me to write him a new intro for his podcast. And I said, I guess that's great to replace the one I wrote him years back, but whatever.
Hey,
that's fine.
Out with the new? I mean, out with the old and with the new.
Yeah. I see who your real friend is now, but all right.
Oh, what ifs? We got to keep stuff in the back pocket, man. You got to switch up a little bit. So, how you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having Josh and I on.
Yeah, we're doing good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, always, man.
I love the new backdrop you got there. It looks great.
It is. It's beautiful, and plus it's got me in front of it, so that makes it all better.
Yeah. Well, I kind of ruined it, but still.
Hey, I just want to state for the record, we are late because of Josh. Nobody else's fault but Josh.
Well, mine too.
He couldn't get on. And then we've been waiting around like assholes, waiting on Josh to get ready. So
they waited on
everybody
me
out there.
But then once I got on here, John was talking fishing with some 12-year-old boy or something. So
That's right.
The only real pro here, I think, is Dan right now. So that's
always
beside the point.
There's nothing wrong with fishing. Fishing is a lovable art. So back off.
If you're fishing with Howard Jones of Killswitch Engage, maybe, but otherwise, it's
Man,
he's a big
don't have
fisher.
the attention span for it, dude. I'd get bored out of my mind.
I can't catch anything and I get bored. But
yeah,
I love it. It's relaxing to me. I hate it right now because, like I was telling my buddy, the Dewey Lake is it algae or just grass? What do they call it? Is it algae? It's algae that's grown up, but I mean, it's grown up so bad that you got like one little strip of water to fish at, and it's horrible. It's like, why can't you go in and fix it? That's all you got to do is just go in and fix it.
I feel like it's like that all the time when I go fishing.
Yeah.
And it's hard to catch fish in the trees when I cast, and it's usually like way up high like that, and I'm just,
every time I go into the trees like that, it's like, it's off the wall. Oh,
I've always spent my time doing these kinds of things, actually. More than that. But now my brother, he's a fisherman. He always did more stuff like that.
So thank you for having us on again, Josh. John, we're super excited to talk about our podcast that Josh and I started about a month and a half ago.
Well, we began on it about a month and a half ago. Yeah, we've been live for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
but
we have 3 episodes in. So yeah, three weeks. We're super excited.
And if nobody knows, I'm also, I guess, the producer of this. Is that right, guys? BODS Mayhem Hour is?
That's right.
Yeah, we're a product of BODS Mayhem Hour. Yeah, we're affiliated. I was thinking about that earlier. There's no reason, really. We need to make a commercial, and you need to make a commercial that you can air on our show, and then we can air ours on your show.
Well, I
cross-promote.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was talking to a very good friend of mine, Paul Birch, drummer of the local Arizona Stereo Rex band here in Phoenix. He's been my best friend for 20 plus years, but he wants to do a video commercial for us. So definitely we should probably shoot some video.
Oh, that'd be great. Absolutely. We can just get together and do that, Dan.
Yeah, but it's easy, man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not for you, but easy for everybody else.
The inside joke on that is that Dan and I have been friends for almost a decade now, and we talk every day, but we've never met.
That's right.
We've never physically seen each other in person. It's the world we live in now, though, right? I mean, with modern, social media and stuff. So
it is pretty amazing, and I feel like I know you better than anybody, dude. So it's crazy.
Oh, absolutely, and you do, and vice versa.
So how long have you both wanted to put this podcast together? When did it actually start coming together that this could be an ideal and actually reality?
We talked about, it's been a few years back, we were trying to find a quality Ozzy Osbourne or Black Sabbath podcast, and Dan and I scoured the internet. And we found a few, and I'm not trying to knock on anyone else, but they never really captivated us. It was always kind of generic or hokey. This wasn't what we thought real fans were looking for. So we started joking between the two of us that, hey, we should just do it ourselves. Who knows more than we do? And we joked about it to the extent that it finally just became a reality after about a year or so.
Yeah, exactly. I have specific memories of like being at the gym and texting Josh going, "Oh, I found this podcast about Black Sabbath," without naming any names. So I'd listen to it. He'd listen to it. And like 15 minutes in, we'd be like, "Oh man, this is just not for us." So we just decided, fuck it, let's start our own. And, I'm not trying to be, brag or anything, but Josh and I know everything about Ozzy Osbourne. So, we are the experts. So this is a podcast of diehard fans. And I'm going to say we know as much about Ozzy as anybody out there. So, we are authoritarian Ozzy fanatics. So if you're going to tune into our podcast, you're listening to the experts.
A matter of fact, I'd go as far as to guarantee you we know more than Ozzy and Sharon does.
Well, that's for fucking sure.
Because they're constantly making comments that we're behind them going, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
That's not right at all.
Yeah.
Just timelines and places and stuff, yeah.
I want to thank everybody who's out there watching right now, and plus the ones who come back and watch the replay of this. I tremendously thank you all so much for coming back and checking out this podcast, because this is truly everything for me. Josh knows me like the back of his hand. I mean, this is what I eat, breathe, and sleep for. So I
smack him with the back of my mind all the time.
Right.
Sometimes I need a swift kick in the ass to go, but hey, everybody does. So
there it is.
Yeah, that's the man.
Hey, the new movie, October 15th, right?
Well, yep. I know. And I was just going to say, it's kind of funny. We're here to talk about Ozzy in the podcast, but it's fucking scary how much Josh and I have in common. Huge fans of horror movies, Michael Myers, Jason. Today is Friday the 13th, right? That's really why I was watching it before.
Friday the 13th.
We got Friday the 13th part 2 geared up, ready to go right when we're done here.
So you're going to watch part 2?
Yeah, I want to watch 2, 3, and 4, but I don't think we'll be able to get them all in tonight.
I might try to watch some. I might go to YouTube and watch some of the fan videos. They're really good right now. Some of those.
Well, I still haven't watched the one you told me about that fan shot one.
Voorhees.
Voorhees. I've not seen that yet.
It's excellent. You need to watch. I swear, when you watch it, I truly mean this. I place it in, like, if you take the actual professionally released movies, through Jason X and all those.
Right.
I think Voorhees would fit in the middle, not timeline, but in quality.
In quality.
I
don't know if I trust you though, because you and I argued this week how Halloween H2O is clearly one of the best Halloween movies. You're off.
I say clearly the worst.
Oh, you're crazy.
Oh man, that's a stab in the heart right there. Oh,
H2O is.
Really? Listen, you can't top 1, 2, and 4, right? They're the 3 best.
There you go.
Everybody agree with that, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
After that, it's H2O. Quality-wise, it's amazing. It's either that or part 6. I mean,
I do like part 6.
But... Yeah, so do I. But part 6 is kind of that oddball. It doesn't really belong in the canon because of they added all that mythology and shit. But part H2O, the quality of the movie is fantastic.
I have to. I'm biting my tongue on that one.
Oh, I'm telling you, rewatch it, man. It's great.
Yeah, I disagree.
It's got a lot of suspense.
We agree to disagree on that. I mean, I love H2O. It's like when someone says "Never Say Die" sucks by Black Sabbath.
Hey.
It might be the worst, but it's still great. That's how I feel about H2O.
Wow,
Never Say Die is amazing.
Exactly. H2O is amazing. It's just not amazing compared to, some of the other films. I thought 2018 was phenomenal. I'll take it over about any of them, honestly.
Yeah, tremendously.
Dude, the scene where the doctor puts Michael's mask on is so annoying to me. It docks at a couple of points.
It lost points on that. But at the same time, the scene when he goes through the garage and into the house and kills the lady, then walks out the house into the next house and kills the lady, and it's all one camera shot that never cut.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Amazing. But dude, what about in Halloween H2O when they're going up and down the dumb waiter? That scene is fucking awesome. It's so suspenseful.
But was it one camera cut? No.
No,
it wasn't one take? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's some good points in both of these movies, but I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6. Not the actual.
6 is way better than 5, John. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
6 is way better than 5.
Yeah, but
I hate that in 5, Michael was all of a sudden rich when he was little, and the house is like massively big mansion on the hill, and it's like, where'd that come from?
Yeah. So anyway, Josh and I have a shit ton in common, from horror to Ozzy to regular music to wrestling to everything. The only thing we don't have in common is I like to read. Josh hasn't read a book yet in his life. He's working on it though.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Hopefully someday.
You've read a few Ozzy books, of course.
Hopefully someday, hopefully someday I'll finish this piece of shit.
Yeah.
That we talk about on the podcast, actually.
Oh, wow.
That is a piece of shit. I don't know how.
That's a piece of shit.
He's all over the place. It's like,
now this one by Rudy Sarzo,
amazing,
is
amazing.
Maybe my favorite.
I've got to have audio book.
I've been distracted by doing this in my music room because there's too many toys in here for me to play with. I get distracted easily. My wife was nice enough to get me this one for Christmas a few years back.
That's fantastic. Yep.
Which is fantastic.
The Ozzy book, which we've all had signed. Did you wait in line to meet him when you did the book tour?
You know, he didn't come anywhere near my area, so I did not.
I had this shirt on. Matter of fact,
I considered flying to Chicago, but I will say my Tony Iommi book
is signed.
If I can get it. Yeah.
Nice.
Signed by Tony Iommi.
That's sick.
There goes Rudy's book.
I'll say
better
this.
than Tony's.
Josh did get me the album 13 signed, so I owe Josh 1,000 on that one because that's one of my prized possessions that I have.
That will definitely be a podcast. How awesome and underrated 13 sessions are.
It's
going to be probably sooner than later because I think 13 is a fucking great record.
Word for word was about to say that'd be an episode sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I love that album. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's me personally.
I don't understand what people are thinking, ripping it. I know it's not War Pigs and Classic Sabbath, but it's as damn close as you can get 40 plus years after the debut. It's amazing. And Ozzy sounds great.
For men in their mid 60s, I just don't know what more anyone could have asked for. Right. I mean, and I think if you take the grade 8, 1 through 8, the first 8 Sabbath records, I think 13 sits right in there. So I don't know what more people really could have wanted.
Yeah, I mean the first 6 are untouchable, right? I mean, and then I think 13 there could be an argument made that it's better than Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die.
I know when Josh.
That says what?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, and that's saying a lot, and I agree with that statement.
Yeah. I know when Josh was telling me about this, he's like, "Man, I'm thinking about doing a podcast," and I was like, "Do it." He's like, "I don't know, we got to figure out this. Just do it. I'll help you. I'll do everything I can to show you it's simple. Just do it."
I truly got to say, John was key in pushing this. Yeah. Like there was times when Dan and I had even kind of let it go, and John would message me and say, "Man, you guys still talking about doing the podcast? We got to get this done." And he kind of kept on me about that. So we do appreciate that, John, because without that, it may have never happened.
Yeah, and I'm glad, man, because this is an outlet for people. I think that even though you two are big into music just as much as I do, I mean, you guys are musicians, and I'm not, but still, same level. It all comes full circle. I think that this helps you to not get burned out on your music style. Then that's just my opinion. I love doing this.
Yeah, it's definitely a different outlet. Josh and I definitely write and do music all the time, but this is a great different outlet. What are you laughing at?
I laugh because I swear, man, listen, me and Dan are both heterosexual males. Let me be clear, but we can finish each other's lines. I literally was going, what's a different artistic outlet in my head? Yeah. And then Dan comes on and goes, yeah, but it's a different artistic outlet that we can do. Right. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like word for word what I was.
Wow.
Right.
Weird.
Wow. That's crazy.
We're super excited. So far, we have launched 4 episodes. The first one was like a 5-minute intro. We've had an episode about the Osmosis album and the in-depth. That was fantastic. And then we had, here we go. Just my buddy Paul fucking with me. He likes to rip my ass about Dio.
I can't read the comments. You guys see the comments?
Yeah, it says Neon Night's best song ever by Sabbath.
Oh, okay. I just scrolled down a little. I can see it now. All right.
Anyway, our second episode is Ozzy's best vocal performances, right? I guess that's our third episode. And that's
in Black Sabbath.
In
best
Black
vocal
Sabbath.
Performances in Black Sabbath.
Thank you, Josh.
And that's actually all that's been released so far. We have a few more recorded.
One
But
more.
what? But
We'll
when I'm
just go ahead
sitting
and
here,
tease next week's episode, Dan, if you want to go ahead and let them know what next week's going to be.
So next week was a great one. This was Josh's idea of what is our perfect Ozzy set list that he could actually perform in 2021. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of fun. We actually had a blast recording that one because it was similar but a little bit different, and you know we can call bullshit on each other and stuff, which I definitely got called bullshit on a few times.
the thing about I like about this whole thing is like they do the podcast from my house, folks, and Josh comes over and I let him record here, which is fucking amazing. But the cool part about all this is how much these guys go in depth on this stuff. It's not like, well, I like Ozzy's song because blah, blah, blah. No, they tear it apart. I mean, it's like watching two mechanics go on a vehicle, and I'm just sitting back here going, what? It's so cool, and I totally respect that. And I think this is, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant or an asshole or whatever, but I mean, if you truly want a good podcast to listen to that's thorough, these guys know what they're talking about. And I mean, I'm just doing my thing because I like doing my thing. But these two guys for Aussie stuff, man, yeah, you need to listen to this podcast for sure.
Thanks, Josh.
Well, I think it's safe to say, Dan, that it's something we've dedicated our life to already, right?
For sure. Absolutely.
So, yeah, we do. And, you know, Dan and I, one thing we've talked about on the show already, and you know, we want to continue to stress is it's not going to be the same old Aussie topics that everyone discusses. It's not going to be the Bat's Head. It's not going to be Alamo. It's,
Right.
we're going to talk about the things
Osbournes.
true fans want to hear about, the things that true fans care about. You know, me and Dan both are obsessed. One thing that we share about Ozzy that we're obsessed with is unreleased material. We both, you know, we can tell you
That's the
just
Holy
lists
Grail.
of songs that are unreleased that we hope that someday we'll get to hear, you know, on a box set or something to that effect. And we know, I found out, I'll share an interesting tidbit with you right now, things that excite us. You know, we don't get excited talking about a dove getting its head bit off in the studio.
No.
That doesn't excite me anymore. But I was surfing the internet the other day, randomly looking for things that I look for, and came across, I had actually told Dan earlier that day that I liked the new Jerry Cantrell song a lot. Have you heard it yet, John?
I have not got to listen to it yet. But
I really enjoy it. I'm a big fan of him anyway. So I started searching. I told Dan, I said, you know, I said, I hate that Ozzy missed the opportunity to record an album with Jerry Cantrell, because Jerry played on the Undercovers album,
The whole record.
the cover album that Ozzy put out. It was around 2004. And I said, you know, we missed an opportunity of really recording a great record writing with Jerry Cantrell. So I started kind of searching the internet and came across an article where Jerry Cantrell says that he wrote 4 songs with Ozzy, and actually went in the studio with Ozzy, Zach, Mike Borden, and Rob Trujillo and cut those 4 songs and demoed them. So I'm like texting Dan immediately. I'm like, dude, there's 4 more songs that we know for a fact exist.
Yeah.
And
the
4
coolest
songs
thing,
written with Jerry Cantrell could be amazing.
absolutely. And the cool thing too is Zach was there. So Ozzy's never had a dual guitar player lineup. So how cool would that have been seeing Zach and Jerry Cantrell playing on Ozzy songs?
Yeah.
Mind blowing, man.
Who don't want to hear those two going back and forth with each
Right?
other? Man, that's got to be some decent stuff. It's got to be some decent stuff.
Yeah,
and hopefully someday we'll get to hear. And these are stuff. So even us, you know, while we claim to know most everything, we're a little cocky, but we're still learning also. Like we just discovered, and I don't think anyone really knows about those songs. I don't know how I even found that.
Yeah, even
but that was straight from Jerry Cantrell's mouth that they had recorded those songs. So,
and the week before, I was telling you, Joe Holmes, who was the guitar player in the mid '90s for Ozzy Live after Osmosis, has a DAT full of riffs with Ozzy humming melodies over. How fucking amazing would that be to have?
I mean, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. See, that was going to be my next question for you guys. Something surprising you discovered while researching anything on Ozzy that kind of just blew you away or kind of tripped you out a little bit? Like, I didn't even know that happened.
No one knew. I didn't know last week. I mean,
that was a big one.
That was we thought that was a huge find because we had never even heard about those sessions.
Right.
So I knew you were going to ask that. I thought I'd go ahead and just beat you to the punch.
A genius. So, I mean, there's so many cool things. A lot of people, and we really dig deep on the Osmosis episode about this, but Ozzy recorded 19 songs for Osmosis and only released 11 of them or 12 of them. So 7 of them are still unreleased. You know, he was going to release an album called I Did It All Because of You in 1999 that is still on the shelf. He he recorded an album that you can bootleg called Ozzy Land that he recorded with Mark Hudson. That was also probably 93, 94. So, I mean, there's so much material. He did a whole rock opera called Rasputin based around the song he wrote during the Osmosis sessions, also unreleased. So there's just so much shit sitting out there that we can't,
Oh yeah.
For those that want to hear it, the Aussie land stuff that Dan was talking about, it's if you go to YouTube, they're on there, but they're under Osmosis demos.
Yeah.
But they really aren't, Osmosis demos. They were written to be a totally separate album before Osmosis. They just scrapped it.
Yeah, and they kept Ghost Behind My Eyes and Denial.
Yeah. So yeah.
What do you both hope people take away from the podcast when they listen to it? Or you hope that they kind of get educated more about Ozzy and learn more stuff about him, or what's going on?
For me personally, it's to actually communicate with people that love Ozzy as much as Josh and I do. I don't know how else to explain it. Every time I log on, it's Ozzy sucks balls. Ozzy can't sing. Dio's better than Ozzy. I'm fucking tired of hearing it. I'm a fucking diehard Ozzy fan. I want to sing it loud, say it loud. And I know there's millions of us out there that are the same fucking way. And I want us to all unite and talk about our love about Ozzy and educate them at the same time.
Yeah, the same, kind of like Dan said, and this isn't throwing shade on Dio or any other era, but let's just be honest. Ozzy solo outsells Black Sabbath, like ticket numbers wise. Yep. And so to act like someone else in Sabbath is bigger than Ozzy it's just crazy. Ozzy Osbourne is Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi is Black Sabbath also, but I'm just saying without Ozzy, they're still not doing 20,000 seat arenas. When they were touring as Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio, they were playing 3,000 seat halls. Not disrespecting that, but I'm just saying with Ozzy Osbourne, you're still in arenas selling out 20,000 seats. But what I want to get from people, I want to inspire them to listen to those albums again. When we did the Osmosis podcast, I listened to Osmosis for 4 days after that. I bet Dan did the same thing.
We were going to do that anyway, but yeah.
And I want to inspire people to listen to Ozzy more. And like Dan said, to share the passion with us and communicate with us and talk to us about it, because there is a community out here. Ozzy's, a lot of people would argue that he's on the Mount Rushmore of hard rock. And we know there's a fan base out there for this. And, before we even launched we put the trailer up, but we never announced anything. We made a Facebook page, we made an Instagram page, we made a Twitter page, but we never promoted or announced any of it. And we had like almost 100 views or something on the trailer before it even got announced.
Right.
So there are people out there looking for this kind of content to listen to.
And to just piggyback on what Josh was saying, this is in no way, shape, or form anti-Dio. I'm a fucking huge Dio fan as well.
Absolutely.
I love Holy Diver, one of my favorite records. Heaven and Hell, one of my favorite records. Fucking Rainbow Rising, one of my favorite records. So again, I believe we can live in a world and be adults to say, Ozzy, Dio, I can love them both. I way prefer Ozzy, and I'm not going to, be ashamed of that. But
we're going to hide that. Yeah,
we're not going to hide that, right? But I love Dio. We'll probably get into definite. One of my goals is maybe have a Dio expert on, and it might be a fun episode for me, you, and Dio expert to kind of go at it a little bit, right?
I was just reading the comment. Can Dan open up about how he feels about Ozzy? Dan, tell us how you really feel.
I know, right? Absolutely. I wear my heart on my sleeve, just like Josh does.
I gotta say this though, and me and Josh has had this conversation before. For those who say that Ozzy can't sing anymore, if you've not sat down and listened to Ordinary Man and just not take that album in song for song, then there's something wrong with you, because he can steal well on it. Then that's just me personally.
Oh, you're muted, Josh. We can't hear you.
Josh, where you at?
Uh-oh. So I'll answer that. Ordinary Man, he sounds fantastic on, especially Under the Graveyard, which was the last song written and sung for the session. He sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything, Josh? Wait.
Let me try this. There's always something that goes on during these live podcasts. It's always something, man.
It's funny. I eventually want to get to video too. When Josh and I, start building up a fan base and stuff, and this starts getting a little bit more popular. I love the live video stuff. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great idea you're doing here, John.
Oh, I love it. got to give Waylon Whitson from Technicolor Nightmare the boost on this, and plus Josh. I mean, several people has told me put your face with the brand, and
Yeah.
it's just a scary step when you're always just behind the mic and there's just audio only. But now I don't care. If you like me, you like me. This is how I look. This is how I am, and oh well.
Fuck it. This is awesome, man. I think people
Yeah.
prefer, in this day and age with technology, my kids are always on their phone watching something. So I actually think this is more relative and going to be more popular with having the video attached to it.
I don't know what happened to Joshua.
He'll call back in, hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So thank you. I was on your podcast last month and it was fantastic. Again, thank you for having me on and asking me to write the intro for the show. It was a blast writing, actually.
That's no problem whatsoever. And I like to try to get anybody and everybody on here just about, that actually has an EP out or something that they're working on. There's Joshua.
Hello.
There he is.
I know what happened.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
I gotta be honest with you. I'll be honest with you guys and all the listeners. My family ordered a pizza, and I gave them my number to call for the directions. And then I called them back, and I said, "This phone's going to be unavailable. Call this other number, please." "Oh yeah, honey, that's no problem." That cat called my phone like 10 fucking times in a row, and finally it just clicked off. And I had to call him back and get that phone call over with before it would come back up. So
again,
life at home with children.
Our listeners can see who the more professional one is.
Oh, 100%.
No, I know exactly what it was. It's fucking Dio Tarta. You're all shit is what happened.
That's right.
He's like,
he was summoning down some demons for sure.
Yeah. I love it.
He's like, "I'm gonna destroy your phone." And
that's what he always sung about. Dragons and brimstone and castles and shit. Yeah.
Well, I think it was all started with Richie Blackmore, right? Richie Blackmore was into that sort of style. So
it's like what he does now, right? He does like those what am I trying to say?
Renaissance music.
Renaissance type. Yeah.
Fucking, hats off to him if that's what he really feels. But
hey, hats off to him for not going for the money, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's a great
because he could be making more money.
All right, Josh, before you got cut off there from the angry Dio, I was asking about, I was actually saying about, for the folks who think Ozzy can't do, justice of singing anymore, you've got to sit down and listen to Ordinary Man album, because we've had this conversation before. If that album don't grab at you or make you get your, some chills up you, there's something badly wrong with you.
Oh, absolutely. And especially considering where it came from. You're looking at a man who at the time is 69 years old. He just had this, he fell over a shoe in his bedroom in the middle of the night and
literally
done a lot of serious damage to his neck and spinal cord. He had that surgery, which is extremely rough surgery. I know several people that's had that surgery. They asked my dad to have it, and I advised him not to do it. And he passed on it because that surgery is often worse than what the injury is before the surgery. It's truly a 50-50 kind of thing. As a matter of fact, Sharon went on record later as saying, after speaking to more physicians later, they kind of regretted having the surgery. And had they known then everything they found out later, they may not have even had it. And wow. I agree they shouldn't have done it. I think I told Dan back then they shouldn't have done it. Didn't I mention that to you, Dan, at the time?
100% you did.
That's just such a rough surgery. And then on top of that, his Parkinson's starts kicking in, and I think the surgery might have even been what created that. You have things in your body and they lay dormant. And then sometimes trauma can just kind of, ignite that. And I wonder I hope the surgery isn't, but I'm worried that the surgery is what even ignited his Parkinson's to really spark up the way it has. Yeah, but despite all that, for Ozzy to go into a studio unable to hardly walk, we've seen some footage of him in the studio. He recorded this album sitting in a chair, and like a comfortable chair, like an office, like executive office comfortable chair, versus standing up and heading to the mic and just having, that's not the way this album was recorded. And for him to go into a studio in those conditions and bring out what he ended up producing with that album, Ordinary Man with Andrew Watt and Duff McKagan and Chad Smith, is just absolutely astonishing. And it blows my mind that anyone could discount and discredit that record at that time, at that age. And the good news is we're getting another one.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, 15 more songs recorded. But here's the truth. they wanted to rip on that because of Andrew Watt personally.
Yeah, easily.
Andrew Watt has ties to the pop community and working with all these pop stars. The guy is talented. A lot of people don't realize he started with Glenn Hughes in a band called California Breed, which is a fantastic blues band.
Yeah.
And he shreds all over that record. So
like a rock blues band.
Yeah, like a rock blues band. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
And then he released a solo record, which you were telling me about, Josh, and you loved it right away.
It's like it's an EP. Yeah.
There's a day I remember specifically texting Josh. I was listening to Ozzy Speaks on Ozzy's Boneyard, and he was like, he lays this little, egg. Hey, I just recorded a bunch of songs with a guy named Andrew. I was like, what the fuck? That's the shit that gets me and me and Josh ready to go. So I text him right away and I'm like, fuck, dude, he's been recording songs. And he goes, I might never release them. I don't know if they're good or not. That's what Ozzy said in the interview. And fucking Josh literally goes, I wonder if it's Andrew Watt. And I'm like, what? Andrew Watt? There's no fucking way. It was. I got to give it to you.
And they rip on because Post Malone was on there. I mean,
that's right.
I mean,
like Post Malone too.
I love
Post Malone too.
And we've talked about this many times. I love when musicians reach out to work with other musicians who's not even remotely close to what they do.
Right.
To bridge that gap and to see Post with Ozzy, fucking brilliant, man.
I mean, It's a Raid is like a fucking punk meets Motorhead song. I have no idea.
Song.
Yeah, I don't know why people can't stand It's a Raid. There's no rapping on it or nothing. It's fucking it's great.
And even the Post Malone, Take What You Want. It's a kick-ass song. And anyone that doesn't like that is either they're lying or they have bad taste. That's a great song. Watt completely shreds the guitar solo that sounds damn near Eddie Van Halen-esque. I know that's hard to put him on that kind of level, but he's finger tapping. I mean, that's a ripping guitar solo. And that album, Hollywood's Bleeding, which that song appeared on, is still on the Billboard Top 200, Top 10. And it's been out for like a year and a half or 2 years now. So the fact that Ozzy is on this album that still sells enough that it's top 10 2 years later is nothing but exposure to a whole new generation that'll hear his music and continue to usher it into the next generation. And that's how I look at it. And, that's how the collaboration began. But it really began, truthfully, the story's well known now. But Andrew Watt's a massive Ozzy fan, and he was at the Rainbow and purchased a picture of Ozzy off the wall. And Andrew Watt saw him with the Ozzy picture and asked why he had that. And Post Malone said, well, I'm just a fan. I like the picture. I wanted to have it. And Andrew had this creative genius of, man, what if I could get those two together in a room? Like, how cool would that be? And furthermore, another thing really cool about that song, Ozzy wrote his parts on that.
Yeah.
So those melodies are Ozzy's. And that's why it sounds like traditional Ozzy when he sings.
That's right. And listen, we're obviously fanboys. I'm not going to deny it, but we're going to call shit out too. We'll talk about the wonderful Bob Daisley and how much he was impactful and just so huge to Ozzy's career. We're going to celebrate Jakey Lee. We're going to celebrate, of course, the wonderful Randy Rhodes and Zakk Wylde. And, we're going to get into the weeds. We talked about Dean Castronova on the Osmosis demo. We'll talk a lot about the late, great Randy Castillo. So, we definitely want to give not just Ozzy his due, but everybody that's been a part of this. Max Norman's another one. I'd love to try to get Max Norman on.
Can you guys go ahead, Josh?
No, I was going to say Max Norman. I agreed. We've been thinking about guests who we may be able to get on, and there's some we think we can get on here. We're kind of waiting to let the numbers come back a little so that we can show them, hey, people do listen to this podcast. But there's a lot of people that we think we can get on the show to discuss stories. And, for them, it's refreshing to talk about something different. If we bring Bob Daisley on, we're not going to discuss the lawsuits. It's off the table. We're going to discuss what was it like sitting in a recording studio, not with Randy Rhodes, because we've heard that a million times too. What was it like sitting in a recording studio with Jakey Lee or Zakk Wylde? Yeah. What was it like writing the sessions for No Rest for the Wicked? That's what we want to know about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and plus you can, like we've talked about, I've given you ideas like having roadies on, plus anybody who's worked with Ozzy, sound crew, stuff like that, man. Those people have some probably amazing stories.
For sure.
I haven't reached out to this person yet, but there's someone who I believe I want to bring on for an episode. We'll let this cat out of the bag because it's not really a major surprise. We're probably going to do a Randy Rhodes episode to celebrate Randy's induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in October.
That's good.
And I have a guest in mind who I think I can get relatively easy. And she is someone that has known Randy since he was about 15 years old, and was the president of the Quiet Riot, not the Randy Rhodes, the Quiet Riot fan club back on the Sunset Strip in the 70s, Lori Holland.
Oh,
and
wow.
I want to reach out, people like that. We want to talk to people who are different, who have a different perspective, and can tell us more inside stories that, haven't been printed in the news over and over, in the guitar magazines or Hit Parade or whatever. We want to hear the other side of it, and come from a different angle.
So let me ask you both this, and I know this is a crazy question, but I think he did. But when Ozzy left Black Sabbath to do solo work, do you think he became stronger as a musician? Do you think his writing stuff and everything just got stronger, or what? What's y'all's opinion?
No question.
Dan, you want to take it or me?
Yeah, I'll start
Okay.
it. I mean, I think Randy Rhodes opened up a whole new musicianship in Ozzy that he just was being held back with Black Sabbath. Matter of fact, me and Josh talk about this all of the time. When Ozzy played live in the late 70s with Sabbath, and a lot of people realize Black Sabbath tuned down a step and a half to C sharp, for their mid 4 or 5 albums. And when they were playing those live for the Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die tour, they played them in standard. So when you're listening to Ozzy screech on trying to hit those notes and everything, it's because they didn't deal with the musicianship they were making the poor guy sing a step and a half higher than what it was recorded and written. So when he went and wrote with Randy Rhodes, they were writing Goodbye to Romance. And Randy actually said, hey, why don't we change the key to this? It'll fit your voice better. And Ozzy was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it worked, and it definitely opened up his musicianship. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say what's very similar. I was just going to say when Ozzy went solo, the chains were off. He was allowed to express himself musically more than I think he was in Black Sabbath. I think in Black Sabbath, people had their roles. Tony, for the most part, was writing the riffs. Geezer's writing most of the lyrics. And I think Ozzy was reserved to rewriting those melodies and singing them. And that was it. And I think when he went solo and it was his show, he had the freedom to go in. And like Dan said, him and Randy wrote together in the key that sit well with Ozzy. But Ozzy also had the ability to walk in and by all accounts did this a few times and say, Randy, you can do better than that.
Right.
Re-record that. We've heard the story before that Mr. Crowley, he had Randy re-record and rewrite some of Mr. Crowley, the solos, because he thought Randy could do even better. And of course, we all know how epic the solos for Mr. Crowley are. And had Ozzy not had the awareness to hear that it could be better, then they may not be what they are today.
Your guys' thoughts on the upcoming album? What are you looking forward to this one, or let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Josh.
This is the stuff that gets me and Dan off. It just is. New materials always what we want. We were begging for it before the No More Tours tour, and we got it with Ordinary Man in circumstances we wished we didn't get it in, with Ozzy getting sick and falling and getting hurt and everything. But an artist has to paint. That's what I always say. An artist has to paint. And when you're a musician and you love doing music, you want to paint your portrait. And that's what gets me excited as a diehard fan. When you're in your 70s or when you're in the twilight of a career, especially a 50-plus year career, people don't really want new content. I really learned that lesson when Black Sabbath did 13. And on the 13 tour, I just thought those songs would tear it up live. But in reality, the crowd did not react to those songs.
Yep.
They just didn't. My wife even made the comment to me because she would hear me play it constantly, so she knew those songs. She said, I think I'm the only one in here that knows these songs better than the other ones, because she had heard me listen to that album for the prior 6 months, But this is what a true fan enjoys, these moments. Crazy Train Part 2 isn't coming on this next Aussie record. We realize that. Mr. Crowley Part 2 isn't coming. But what we are getting is yet another chapter of new material of the next chapter. You know what I'm saying? And that's what excites me.
For sure. So what excites me is I know Ozzy has said there's at least 2 to 3 epics on this next record. So when I hear epic, I start thinking not that we're going to have a repeat of this, but just the style of Killer of Giants, Revelation Mother Earth, Diary of a Madman, Fire in the Sky. These are wonderful, larger than life Ozzy songs that are on everybody's best.
No More Tears.
No More Tears, another classic epic.
Yeah.
So for me to hear that Ozzy has 2 or 3 epics on this record, it's got me super excited. He has already given a song title called Patient Number 9, which I'm really excited about.
Again, I want to thank everybody who's out there listening and watching this podcast. There will be a replay of this as always. And again, thank you guys for coming in and checking out. If you have questions, please drop them in here. I'll try to get them answered. Or if Josh and Dan sees them, they'll answer it. So thanks everybody for doing this. So that's just like me with Metallica. You know, everybody gave Saint Anger shit. I mean, it'd been a long time since Metallica put an album out, and here comes Saint Anger. And I'm like, oh, yeah, finally. And I was like, I mean, still, I'm a diehard Metallica fan, but that album has grown on me, and they are some good songs on that album.
There are
like 2 or 3. See, me and Josh share a brain. Yeah, I know. Load and Reload are much better for me. I actually am a big Load and Reload fan. Well, we did get a question. So, what is the best Ozzy solo song if you had to choose? Mine is Diary of a Madman, no question. It's my favorite song of all time. Josh?
The song for me, and this is so cliche.
Yeah, I know your answer. You're killing me.
Yeah, Crazy Train changed my life. So
really?
I'm one of those people, I'm loyal to a fault. So since it changed my life, I can never go back on it. Like, it's the one that brought me to this. But that said, I go with Dan on Diary of a Madman. If I had to pick one song that, hey, what does Ozzy sound like, and what does he bring to the table that no one else ever has? That song is so historically epic,
and it's everything about it.
The whole world should know it.
Yeah. Bob's
the London Chamber
fantastic.
Choir at the end,
Chamber
singing.
Choir, amazing.
I mean,
the melodies,
the orchestration from Abbey Road Studio. I mean, it's just so low. It's so perfect. It's perfect.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
A lot of people don't realize Ozzy went back to Abbey Road Studio with Ordinary Man to do his string arrangement there as well. Just gonna say.
So how did that change your life, Josh? You never told me anything about this. How did that, like, I don't inspire you into changing you on this?
I discussed this on the trailer for our podcast, but when I first heard Black Sabbath was Iron Man. When the Road Warriors would come down to the ring on wrestling, I'd watch wrestling after school, and they had Iron Man on their Harleys, and I loved that so much. And then my brother had that We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll cassette tape. I remember I loved NIB, and so Black Sabbath and Ozzy always caught my attention. But my favorite bands at the time, I loved Quiet Riot, and I loved Motley Crue and Poison. Those are my 3 bands.
What year are we talking about right now, Josh?
We're talking 1987, 88. 89 through there, late 80s. And then
okay. And you didn't discover Ozzy though until it has to be after No Rest for the Wicked.
Yeah, so I had heard these songs. And I remember my dad used to sell those bootleg cassette tapes you would see at the flea market and stuff. He would sell those.
Really?
And I remember he had Ozzy, and my brother said, they say he's a devil worshiper. Dan's never heard this story. They say he's a devil worshiper. And my dad said, no, I didn't know that. And my brother said, yeah. And my dad threw those cassettes away of No Rest for the Wicked because he didn't want to sell cassettes of a devil worshiper. So I didn't hear Ozzy again for a little while. And all of a sudden, one day, my brother had this, I guess it was Blizzard of Oz. It had to be, right? And I heard Crazy Train and just lost my shit to that main riff. The main riff is what does it for me. I could just listen to it on repeat over and over. And I went to the music store. It was called Sound City. I ended up working there later on when I was a teenager. And I was looking through the CDs, and they had this one called Randy Rhodes Tribute. And all I knew was when I looked at the back of it, it had Crazy Train. It had Iron Man. Sold.
Right.
I got home. I put it on and was disappointed to realize it was live. I didn't know it was a live album.
Oh, man.
Listened to it 3 times in a row that night. And changed my fucking life.
That's
Randy
awesome.
Rhodes took my life over. Ozzy took my life over. I played guitar a little, but all of a sudden I really wanted to play guitar, and everything changed that day.
A lot of people don't like live albums, and I don't. I mean, I kind of get it. I don't get it.
Actually,
really?
I'm not either. No. I mean, I love tribute, of course, and I have a huge place in my heart for Speak of the Devil. But in general, I'm not real big on live albums.
What is it that for you though? What is it that you don't like about the live aspect of it? Are you just more like the studio guy? You want to hear the
Yeah.
real sound of it? Okay.
Yeah, if I'm going to listen to it, I'd rather prefer the studio. Now there are some classic. I mean, Unleashed in the East by Priest, fucking, classic, one of the best live albums
True.
of all time. Live
True.
After Death by Maiden, tribute, Speak of the Devil, and then there it is.
There it is.
That's the original one. There's like 25 copies that I've bought since, but this is the one I bought that day at Sound City. Look how it's colored.
Yeah.
And let me show you something else. I don't know how many people can claim this, but I can claim it. I don't know if it'll come through on camera. It's been spun so much, it started skipping from wire from spinning.
Yeah.
You don't see that on CDs. You don't see that on CDs very often.
No.
But so it's ate up with wire from just going around in circles.
One of the cool things that Josh and I have in common is we were both introduced to Ozzy by our older brothers. So that's another cool thing. Same thing. Mine was a lot younger than Josh was. So mine was 1981. My brother went and saw Ozzy Diary of a Madman tour. And he brought home the tour program. I opened it up the next morning. Everybody was still asleep. It was left on the counter. And I was just blown away by the imagery. I'd already been listening to Ozzy because he was like trying to, listen to him to get ready for the show. But that was really the turning point for me, seeing the tour program, which is so weird, but I just never seen anything like it before. The tour program is so cool.
The stuff that Josh has told me about the both of you is just, it blows my mind because I'm like, how are you guys so in sync with each other? I mean, it's like, it's eerie. It's very scary. So
it is very scary. For sure.
It is. And we're on complete opposite ends of the country. For those that don't know, Dan is in Arizona and I'm in Kentucky. And we have a third. We actually have a triplet. We have a third brother named Ryan, who's going to be a part of the show some. He's going to start coming on and guesting with us sometimes. But he done our artwork for the show. He done an excellent job.
Amazing job.
And he's always in on these conversations. He lives in Chicago, so we truly corner the country with every which way.
Right there's the artwork right there, folks.
There it is. That freaked me out when you did that. Yeah.
I like freaking people out.
Since I'm in here, check this out. Dan will appreciate that. Can you read those?
Oh my God.
You won't get them. That is Don Airy.
Okay.
And Lee Kerslake.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Just to have Lee's.
That's a European version of this also, so it's kind of cool. Because if you notice, the binder sleeve is black.
Yeah, black.
And on the American version, the North American release, it was white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Interesting. Yeah.
I will throw this out there. I did talk to George Lynch in an upcoming interview about Josh's obsession with Ozzy, and for folks, you'll just have to stay tuned and listen to that conversation because it was actually pretty funny. But
you spoke with George Lynch about what?
Ozzy.
Ozzy, you liking Ozzy so much and going to every Ozzy show that you've been to. So
a lot of people don't realize George Lynch had the job right after Randy died. Well, he had it twice, but he had the job for sure. Before he hired Jake, and then at the last minute they had to change a heart for sure. Me and Josh talk about this all the time. We think it's because George didn't have long hair at the time, and which is ironic because neither did Ozzy. But Jake's look is undeniable. 1982, 83. Jake looks fucking amazing in 82, 83, and he's a great player. I think Jake is one of the most underrated players there is out there.
Oh sure.
So if you wanted to, this is the shit Dan and I talk about, and Ryan. Dan brought this to my attention, and I about hate him for it, to be honest with you. But he mentions, well, George Lynch didn't have long hair, but neither did Ozzy, right?
Right.
Dan pointed this out to me. That's a wig.
It's got to be.
That's a wig.
Yeah.
It's a wig. And I tried to deny it for about 3 months. So we kept doing the timeline and realized that is indeed a wig. And
Josh got another phone call.
Yeah, it could be that. But yeah, Ozzy had shaved his head back in 82. He used to go on stage with that wig and then tear it off after the show started, which was kind of cool and would freak the shit out of people.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
You get another phone call. Yeah.
No, I don't know what happened there.
I was just telling him how Ozzy used to go on stage with that wig on, right? And then tear it off in the first song to freak it off. Yeah. Freak people out where he was bald underneath.
So I'm seeing where folks are posting this last couple of days, and I don't know if Ozzy will be able to do this, folks. They're saying that Zach's going to be out with Ozzy in 22. He's going to be the touring guitarist, but
That's the rumor.
I just, I'm like Josh. We've talked about this a lot. I don't know if Ozzy can do it. I mean, Ozzy obviously wants to do it. He's told Jack get off of him because he's not retiring because he gets pissed every time Jack mentions it. But I just, oh God.
I would rather have him record than tour, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
You know, I agree. I'm worried about his health and his performance, you know, but fuck Tony. What is Tony Bennett, 95, 96? And he just finally stopped touring, you know, so.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Ozzy is I do think he still gets off on touring, but I think he wants to go out on his terms. And I don't think he wants to go off on tripping over one of Sharon's shoes in the bedroom in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? I think he wants to ride off to the sunset on his terms. And I think if he can come back and just do even one show, I thought the idea would be cool. You know, if he can't tour, and I do worry about it. I mean, let's just be honest. In the photos we saw for the past year, he has a hard time even really walking around. He's always on a cane.
His posture's terrible.
Yeah, his posture's awful. He looks like he kind of holds his head out like this all the time now, like he's trying to get comfort in his neck because we know he has the neck issue now. I think he will not settle for sitting in a chair and doing a concert. Some people do that. I think you saw Phil Collins, right? Dan?
It was a great show. He had some sort of surgery and he sat down the whole show. It was fantastic.
But I don't think Ozzy will settle for that.
I
thought
Axl Rose did it too, right?
Axl did, and as did Dave Grohl, because Dave actually used Dave's throne.
That's right. Yeah.
But I thought it'd be cool if they maybe did, go to London or to Birmingham and just do a big event and have Ozzy's band and Zach's there. Hell, get Jakey Lee, whatever. Have an event, a party, and have people do Ozzy songs up until the encore, and then Ozzy come out and do Paranoid or Crazy Train or something, and that way he's at least going out his way,
It's not a bad idea. I hope he could perform one more show, or even just do a Vegas residency. If he really wants to go out, do 2 weeks in Vegas, and then that would be it.
I will say this, and this is a guarantee. If Ozzy does a Vegas residency, that's when me and Dan finally meet each other.
For sure. We've already talked
because we would go. Yeah.
Well, even if he doesn't do a residency, I think if he does one more tour, you'll see him in your area. I'll see him in Phoenix. And then I think we fly somewhere. Maybe it's fucking Chicago so we can hook up with Ryan.
Cool. Yeah. True. The sad part is our buddy Ryan. I've never met Ryan either. We've been to 2 shows together at the same show and didn't get up either time to say hello. We would text, and we wasn't as close as we are now, though. That was the 13 tour.
Yeah.
So, so that was 8 years ago now or something. But yeah, I think that's what we should do. If they were to play Red Rocks or something like that, that'd be great too, like a historic venue somewhere.
Right. Sorry, somebody asked when it's Ozzy's birthday.
No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your guys' thoughts on having the show proof of vaccination at these festivals now and to these venues to watch a show?
We might not be on the same page here, but I don't mind it.
Let's not get political here.
Let's not get political.
I mean, I feel like
Dan. Let me be clear. Dan, he judges me.
I don't judge you.
And he assumes that because I'm from Kentucky, I'm this big raging Republican. I'm not. True. I'm independent. I'm independent, right. Dan. I'm independent. I got my vaccination before almost anyone else in the country did. Matter of fact, I got it the first day they were they were available.
Agreed.
So we don't want to get political on that. We'll leave that to everybody else. Each their own.
I agree, Josh. So one of the cool things we're going to start doing, this is one of the things I'm most excited about, is
I will say one thing.
Go ahead.
I do believe in a company's right, if it's a private business, to tell you have to get it to work there. I do believe in healthcare. I work in healthcare, and everyone I work with is upset about it. But I do understand that they're a private business and they have the right to say, hey, you need to be here if you want to work. It's the same thing as if you work here, you have to wear the uniform. But as far as people in public, we'll leave that be.
Agreed. No politics here. We talk Ozzy, Sabbath. We also want to have other shows in a weird fucking universe. Josh and I are gigantic Chinese democracy fans. The only other person I've ever met that is a diehard Chinese democracy fan like I am. So we might dedicate a episode about that. So we want to expand. Obviously, it's going to be mainly Ozzy. We're going to talk about a lot about Black Label Society, Black Sabbath, Jakey Lee and Badlands. But for sure, we want to explore other opinions and options. I don't know where Josh disappeared to, but I will say this. One of the things I'm most excited for is you want to show your Chinese democracy? There you go.
That's what I figured.
So
I have it on vinyl.
That's fucking sick, man. I got to get it on vinyl. It's awesome. One of the most underrated records. I love it.
I got it at Best Buy, $1.99.
Get the fuck out of here. How long ago was that?
It came out. What year did this come out? 2006 or so.
I thought it was 2004.
May have been.
Maybe
It was.
2005.
If you remember, it was Best Buy exclusive only.
It was,
and they had oodlums of these, I suppose. And it didn't sell like they hoped it would. It only charted at like number 4 on Billboard.
Wow.
The vinyl for $1.99.
That's awesome.
So they took.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quick, since we're talking about Guns N' Roses, let's just talk about real quick how fucking horrible their new song is. And I hate ripping on bands, but it's terrible. I don't understand it.
Okay, so that was a rework of Silkworms that's on Chinese Democracy. Am I wrong on that?
It's on the demos.
Okay.
It's a demo.
So it was a rework of Silkworms.
Thank God it didn't make one of the greatest records that they did, because Chinese Democracy is brilliant and that song is far from it.
When they did it live, man, I sat here and I watched it because I like Guns N' Roses too. I've loved them since I was a kid, and then I was going,
yeah.
Everything else.
I don't even understand it. I mean, I just don't know what they're thinking. It's their first song they're releasing again with Axl, Slash, and Duff playing together, and that's it. I mean,
and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And not only that, but you're releasing a demo from Chinese Democracy with those guys. Like, I don't understand the point of that. And let's just be honest too. The part that bothers me, I know I'm getting a little. I'm 41 now. I'm growing up. Pussy full of maggots. That's all I hear. Pussy full of maggots. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
When I was 13, I don't think I would have liked that.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Everything else was good. Everything else was good about the song, and then you hear Axl come in, and I'm not knocking Axl's voice at all whatsoever. I'm just saying, whoa.
Even the riff.
Hey guys,
the riff
continue without me for 2 seconds. My phone's about to die. I'm going to go grab a charger real quick.
Okay.
Sure.
Even the riff is okay. It's
to record it.
It's got like a punk vibe, right, John? So and Duff is a huge punk guy, right? And Duff is a great player. I'm so glad he was on Ordinary Man. He's a great songwriter. He wrote my favorite Guns N' Roses song, which is "It's So Easy." So the guy's great. But the fact that they reworked a demo, I'm gonna have to agree with Josh. It doesn't make much sense. They could have came up with something brand new.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We'll just scratch everything, go in and just start working on your new shit just from scratch, man, and just hammer something out, because I guarantee, I'll say this right now, I would guarantee that if they put a full-length album out that's just total new stuff, never heard whatsoever, just brand new, it'd be a killer album.
Agreed. I mean, Slash is a great player. Again, he's also on Ordinary Man too, right?
And two, think about this, man. Who knows what other stuff they've got laying around, from Appetite, Generalize, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2, that's still laying there that they could still use. You know what I'm saying?
You would have thought they would have reworked something that Slash was maybe involved in. Like if they reworked a Use Your Illusion song, right?
Yeah.
That would make sense. I agree, John. I think that's a great point. But reworking a demo for Chinese Democracy, which is really an Axl Rose solo record. And I love the record, but it's not really a GNR song. Album. It's an Axl Rose solo record.
And I'm not knocking Buckethead whatsoever, but man, he's a phenomenal guitarist, but he's just all over for me. It's just wow.
Well, that's not all Buckethead. That's kind of a misconception with Chinese Democracy. He is on that record.
Yeah,
there's like 10 or 11 guitar players on that album.
Tommy Stinson does a lot of work, I believe, on it.
Tommy Stinson does a lot, and Richard Fortas, I think, is on that also, if I'm not mistaken.
The guitar playing is
still
actually
in the band.
Ridiculous on that record.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
But I'm with you guys. I don't understand, if you're going to do a demo and go through old stuff, go through the good old stuff. I don't think there's a whole lot left from the Appetite for Destruction era. It's well known that You Could Be Mine was an Appetite for Destruction era song that was left over.
Right.
Ended up being a massive hit, right, for the T2 soundtrack. And I actually didn't know this until they did the box set for Appetite for Destruction. But November Rain was written during the Appetite for Destruction sessions also, which blew my mind. I did not know that.
It's a little
so as great as that album is, it's funny, we were discussing it earlier, Dan and I, 18 times platinum. As epic as that album is, You Could Be Mine and November Rain could have been on it also. Just imagine that.
Right. I'm kind of tired of the album. I'm not going to lie. There's like 4 or 5 songs on it that I'd be okay never hearing again.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about Crazy Train too. But, you know, I love the Use Your Illusion.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't like Night Train either very well.
There's a lot of good songs on Appetite other than, Sweet Child and
I like Rocket Queen.
Oh, yes.
Rocket Queen.
My
For sure.
Brownstone.
Yeah.
My Michelle. Oh, that
Forget Me.
intro.
My
That
Michelle.
intro to My Michelle is just so badass. So
awesome.
badass.
So back to our podcast. One of the things I'm super excited about, and let me try it the 3rd time now, is we're going to have Ryan on, our buddy Ryan, and we're going to start debating album versus album. And I think this is going to be something that our fans and fans of Ozzy are going to just love, where we're going to sit around and, we're going to pick 2 albums and debate which one is better. And we're going to go song by song. And that's something I'm really, really excited. If you can't tell, if you've already listened to the podcast, Josh and I are big lists guys. Everything's going to be a list. That's our thing. And we're going to stick with that. But one thing we're really excited about is bringing in Ryan and doing those battles. And maybe we'll even bring in go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, it's not even Aussie stuff. We're going to battle, I'll go ahead and tell you. There's going to be a Book of Shadows by Zakk Wylde versus Pride and Glory by Zakk Wylde battle. Stuff like that. We love to do shit like that. We've been doing it for years together. And what's funny is we have done this stuff privately before, but I guarantee you our answers will end up being different when we do it again because they change from day to day.
Fuck.
But
I was just going to tell you.
All things awesome. So
all things
we're going to discuss Zakk Wylde albums, stuff like that. Yeah.
My Jekyll Doesn't Hide, which I think I had ranked 9th on our podcast. If I did it today, it'd be ranked 7th, by the way. It's just how it works, man. It changes day by day.
Speaking of Aussie related, I mean, we should be looking, it should be any day that Zakk Wylde drops a single from his new album, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say he hoped to release it in November? So a single should be about any time now.
Zakk needs to be on here.
Yeah, I love Zakk, man. I think he's perfect for Ozzy. And I love how mature he is about Ozzy not wanting to write and play with him anymore, because he understands that he's got Black Label Society. Black Label Society is a very popular band. I think Ozzy wants to work with people that are dedicated to writing for Ozzy and with Ozzy.
And
he just said, go ahead, Josh. He just said that Zakk Wylde was mature.
I know. I said
that's the only thing mature about Zakk
working
Wylde.
with Ozzy. I did clarify that about working with Ozzy. Yes. Great guy, by the way. We both have met Zakk, and he was nothing but gracious to both of us.
For
him.
He's a big teddy bear, man. Big old teddy bear. And I think too that Ozzy don't want to hold Zakk back. I think he's like, look, man, you can do well without me. You can go on and do your own stuff. But I'm like, Zack's like, but Dad wants me to go do my own thing, and I want, you know what I mean? It's like, Zakk can do this on his own, but I understand where Zack's coming from and Ozzy's point of view,
and where Ozzy's coming from. Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing that Dan and I have admitted to each other, we're a touch disappointed. The 2 of us actually like Andrew Watt doing the albums. We kind of agree that with Zakk, it's going to sound like a Black Label album with Ozzy on vocals. We kind of agree with that. I like albums with Andrew Watt. We both did agree we're a little bit disappointed that we thought Zakk might have a guitar moment on the new album.
Right.
On Ordinary Man, he had Slash do a few solos. He had Tom Morello do a few solos. We thought maybe Zakk would be brought on for maybe just a moment or 2. And apparently Zakk has said that's not a reality. It's not happening.
But me and Josh have a very strong feeling. Well, we know Robert Trujillo is playing bass on the new record, and we have a very strong feeling Kirk Hammett's going to make an appearance. Nothing has been said in the media, but I think it's safe to say I have a gut feeling, because Ozzy did say he's got a big guest star and he's not allowed to say who it is yet. I think it's going to be Kirk Hammett. A couple, right?
A couple. And I think me and Dan and Ryan have discussed it, and I think Kirk is the for those that don't follow Metallica really close, Kirk and Rob Trujillo are really tight. Like they sit in the rehearsal in the dressing rooms, and they just they noodle on stuff and just jam on
They
random
surf
songs
together too, right? Yeah.
They surf. They're buddies, and obviously Kirk Hammett has a love affair and respect for Ozzy Osbourne. He would love, who wouldn't want to be on an Ozzy Osbourne record? What rock artist would want to be on an Ozzy Osbourne record?
Yeah.
So that's our little guess between us of one person that will make an appearance on the album is Kirk Hammett, and I think it'd be great. I'd love to see James make an appearance, James Hetfield, but
sure.
But Robert and Kirk's connection probably definitely might pull that one into it for a solo moment, little wah wah action.
All right. So when is the new episode coming out? What days are they come out normally?
So they come out every Thursday. So we're going to post a new live show every Thursday. We posted one yesterday. So our next episode is our Josh and I's battle of who we think is, who's the best solo set of what Ozzy can pull off. So that's next Thursdays, which we're really excited about. And again, you can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer, wherever you listen to your podcasts at, it's available.
Right here is the podcast where you can go and check out the Diary of the Madman podcast. Right there it is. Go check it out. It's right.
I'm so impressed.
Nice. We struggled with when we were deciding on a title. I come up with the title for the podcast pretty quick, and Dan was like, "Man, I love it. It's perfect. That's it." And then as I was making, I made the initial art for it, which was way shittier than Ryan's before he replaced it.
Bust his balls
but I thought to myself, should it be Diaries of the Madmen? Because it's plural. And then we're like, well, that just doesn't have the same ring to it. It's Diary of a Madman, Diary of the Madmen. But then when I thought even further into it, it's one diary. It's just we share it between us.
Yep. And it
the
fits
Diary of the Madmen. Yeah. We write it together.
And then the ultimate Ozzy is, another Ultimate Sin, another throwback to another Ozzy record.
There's the Facebook link, folks. There is BODS Mayhem, our podcast site. Also the Twitch site. There is
we have a Twitch site?
Facebook. No,
we don't have a Twitch site. Twitch is video only, correct?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, video.
There is BODS Mayhem, our YouTube page, and there is the BODS Mayhem, our live podcast. Just go follow. That's all you got to do. And especially to the BODS Mayhem, our podcast on YouTube. Go like and subscribe.
Please. The last thing I definitely want to say is, try to interact with us. I think what Josh and I are looking to form a big Ozzy community. So, we want to see what your top 10 Ozzy Osmosis songs are, what your top 10 Ozzy performances in Black Sabbath are. Get on our social media sites, interact with us. You guarantee we'll answer and be very interactive with you guys. We're definitely looking to build a nice big Ozzy community.
There you go, folks. And also, too, I got to throw this in here right quick. This is coming up Louder Than Life. Get out and get your tickets. Also, please, if you are vaccinated, you will have to show proof of that, and I have no problem with that. I'm not vaccinated, but you know what? They're doing the right thing. And I've seen people bitch and complain about it. If you don't like it, don't go. I mean, they're trying to help folks, and that's just my opinion. And also, we have the Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley show coming up here in October, and we're going to be giving away tickets on BODS Mayhem Hour, and we're going to do it live too on September 17th. So, come on, folks!
Did everybody jam the man behind the mask today because it's Friday the 13th?
That's right, it is Friday the 13th, and I actually did. I actually did earlier.
Great.
The whole you got to be vaccinated to go into Louder Than Life. Like I said earlier, I don't want to get on that bandwagon. I know Dan hates discussing it. I hate discussing it. I do want to throw one fact out. I work in a healthcare facility. We had 4 admissions for COVID 3 weeks ago. We're at 68 now.
Wow.
Of those 68, only 2 are vaccinated.
Yeah.
How are those patients? Are they okay? I mean, are they bad?
They're sick enough that they're in the hospital.
Well, sure, I understand.
Most of the vaccinated patients are older. Typically, are they older, Josh? The 2
that I don't know. I don't know the statistics on the ages of who's admitted and who's not, but I do know of 68, only 2 are vaccinated. Yeah. So my point is clearly the vaccination works. It works.
I think I saw a stat, and the last thing I'll say on is 99.93% of the people vaccinated are not catching the virus. So
or they're catching it, but not getting so sick.
Not getting sick. Yeah, not getting hospitalized from it. I apologize. Not
exactly.
Hospitalized. Yeah, you're right.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence of getting it. You know, a lot of my friends are hounding me and wanting me to get it, but I've got my own reasons, guys.
Yeah,
and I mean,
everybody's own personal reason.
It's not that I don't want to get it. It's just there's other reasons I want to know first. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It took quite a while, Ryan, I'm sure. And he's been
how
showing
long did
off
it take
every
Josh
5 minutes
to move his entire house into the bedroom? Let me tell you, I've been in this house for about 7 years. We call this the fun room.
Yeah.
And it initially was my music room. We have an elliptical and a treadmill in here. As you can tell, I've put on a shit ton of weight in the past 5 or 6 years. I've not used those bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
No, I keep them clothes free just in case.
All right.
But we're clearly not using those bad boys. But my little girl has every fucking thing in the world in this room. You can hardly move in here, to be honest with you. And but this is my space right here, which you can see. I got all kinds of cool stuff. I'll show you some of it. Yeah.
Don't worry, Callie will be in
me
there.
And my wife. Yeah. And I got all around. But this is just a corner that I got to keep. I'm going to brag for a moment. You see this picture right there?
Yep.
That one? Randy Rhodes' brother Kelly gave me that. That's a personal gift from the Rhodes family. So I'm very proud of that photo.
There you go. There's another guy to get on there. Kelly. I know Kelly will do the show.
Yeah, I think Kelly would, and Kelly would be great, but he's also someone who a lot of people. The reason I mentioned Lori is just so different. We want, like, we would love to have Kelly on the show. Don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh,
Kelly, of course.
Or and even Kathy, and since the music school that Randy taught in growing up, Musonia, that the family owns, it was broken into about a year and a half ago. I'm not sure if you know that, John, but it got pretty well known, pretty publicized. Since the breaking, Kelly really has kind of went off the radar. He's not really been doing a lot of stuff. Kathy's kind of taken over everything, and Kathy is wonderful. She's so sweet. She looks just like Randy. It's scary to look at her.
It is.
You can look at her and almost know exactly what Randy would look like if he were alive today.
Right.
And she takes photos often. If you don't have her on Instagram, you all need to follow her. It's Kathy D'Argenzio Rhodes. But she'll wear Randy's stage clothes and stuff and take photos sometimes, pose with his guitars. It's really neat to see. She would be wonderful to have on there. And she does a few interviews, but not a whole lot either. They're really sweet. I've met Kelly. They're really sweet, down-home people. One thing that really surprised me when I met Kelly, they live in Southern California. And when I spoke to him, he's such an old soul. And I'd imagine Randy was just even more than Kelly, because by all accounts, Randy was softer than Kelly was.
Right, he was.
But he almost had a Southern accent. It was very just down home way he spoke. And they're just such sweet people, And I think once this podcast takes off, like we believe it will, I think they are absolutely the people that we could have on the show, and would be elated to have on the show. We'd love to have Rudy Sarzo on to talk about all the years, with Randy Rhodes and Ozzy. There's so many that we could have.
Phil Sassoon, all of these guys, absolutely. I'd love to have Tim Palmer on. How many people would dive into Down to Earth like you and I?
No one. And It's funny. I've been trying to find the socials on all these people, and I can't find Tim Palmer anywhere. I've been trying to find like his Twitter account, or just to give him I want to follow them in hopes that they follow us back and just get involved organically and hear the show and maybe enjoy it, But people like that are who we want to talk to. We want to talk to the people that we want, like you've had Zach, John. We would love to have Zach. That would be, paramount for us to have Zach Wild on the show. But at the same time, we would love to talk to, he's passed away now, but like Bernie Tormé, someone like that who was in the band for 2 weeks.
Right.
We would totally enjoy a conversation. But matter of fact, if he hadn't passed, Bernie used to chat with me all the time on the internet. We probably could have had him on in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I really hope that he's gone.
And even the drummer that just recently passed, who played in Ozzy's band there for a while, I'm sure you could have got him on there too, because
Lee Kerslake.
Lee Kerslake. Oh, we'd have been in heaven to have Lee Kerslake on the show
for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, that's
anybody from the Blizzard or Diary era. That's the holy.
I don't think he got enough credit that he should have gotten. That's just me.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
And we'll call shit out. Like I said earlier, you know, we're fanboys, but if Ozzy, you know, did something that we feel is bullshit, we'll definitely call it out.
This is why I like this podcast.
And not putting Lee and Bob on fucking Diary of a Madman is bullshit.
It is.
And really,
True.
you know, we agree, probably fired, you know, Lee because he was overweight a little bit. You know, Lee would wear tracksuits and sweatsuits and stuff. And then, you know, Tommy was better looking. And by all accounts, Tommy, you know, a lot of people may not realize this. By all accounts, Tommy Aldridge is a ladies' man. They said he had women in every city. Like the band would never see Tommy when they were out on tour. He was out with the ladies because he had a black book, and whatever city they were in, he got his black book out and called those chicks and would go party with the girls.
And we're definitely going to get into it. Ozzy always wanted Tommy Aldridge. He was a big name. He was probably the best drummer, like marquee drummer at the time, and he was also Randy's favorite drummer. So you know, it was definitely, it made sense. Why it didn't make sense like from a chemistry standpoint, but I always understood why Ozzy wanted Tommy Aldridge in the band.
And Randy Rhodes wanted Tommy Aldridge for the same reason. You know.
All right, folks. I want to thank each and every single one of you people out there who tuned in and listened to and watched the podcast. As always, there is a replay.
Must be time for John to go supper or something, right?
My supper's ready for sure.
Mine is too, actually. That pizza's been sitting in there since that guy tried to call me 30 minutes ago.
That's right. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, John, so much.
That's not a problem. I appreciate you guys coming on here, and I appreciate being part of this podcast that you guys have got off the ground. I truly hope this, you know, blows up. So
thanks for pushing us.
That's not a problem. Guys and gals, next week, Tracy Bird, a.k.a. TB from A Gathering of None, and the Mighty Blitz Kid will be on the podcast. So if you have any questions for TB, just, hey, come on in the chat room, and we'll ask away. If he sees it, he'll answer. So stay tuned for some more awesome stuff coming down the pipe for BODS Mayhem Hour and Plus Diary of the Madman, the ultimate Ozzy Osbourne podcast with Josh and Dan. Check that shit out, folks. So thank you all so much, and have a good weekend.
Take care.
See you guys. Love you, Ryan.